My ex-wife is about to be homeless and has asked to live with me and my son, but she did not expect this. Hello, Reddit eyes here. Backstory. 3 years ago, during the height of COVID, my marriage to Petunia, not her real name, obviously, blew up in spectacular fashion. After 7 years together and one adorable little boy, I discovered she'd cheated on me. Her excuse? Her mother told her she only did it because she was unhappy with me. Yeah, real helpful advice. Our divorce wasn't just messy, it was a full-on dumpster fire. False police reports, CPS investigations. I had to install cameras everywhere and walk around with a literal body cam to avoid being accused of things I didn't do. At one point, I even caught Petunia and her family breaking into my house. Legally, she wasn't arrested since we were still married at the time, but it definitely didn't look good for her in court. Fast forward, Petunia falls in love with some guy in Europe, hands over most of her parental rights, and I get full custody of our son. Cue the violins because my life was starting to look like a made-for-TV movie, but hey, at least I was out of the woods, or so I thought. A year later, Petunia's whirlwind European romance crashes and burns, and she moves in with some mutual friends. But, surprise, surprise, her behavior doesn't improve. Instead of trying to get back on her feet, she spends her days finding herself, which seems to involve joining a New Age cult and diving deep into the land of TikTok spirituality. Now she thinks she's an ancient alien sent to Earth to spread light and wisdom. You can't make this stuff up. And now, the twist. So, just when I thought things couldn't get stranger, Petunia calls me up a few days ago, asking if she could move in. Just for a few weeks, she says, until her YouTube career takes off. You can imagine the long pause I gave before responding. Yeah, I have zero faith in that career plan. She told me she'd be homeless if I didn't take her in. And if you think the idea of having my ex-wife, who once broke into my house and accused me of everything under the sun, living under my roof sounds like a bad idea, you'd be right. But here's the thing. As a recovering codependent, it's hard for me to say no. My first instinct is to help, even when it could blow up in my face. I've spent years putting other people's needs before my own, and I've had to work hard in therapy to change that. So, I asked myself, was I being unreasonable? Could I be the bigger person here? Well, after getting resounding absolutely nots from both Reddit and the little voice in my head that I usually ignore, I decided I needed to do something I've never really done before. I had to choose me. The final decision, I said no. The moment I sent the message, a wave of relief washed over me. I had expected guilt, second-guessing, maybe even some regret, but instead, I felt lighter, like I had just put down a burden I didn't even realize I was carrying. Petunia left me on red, but honestly, that was a gift in itself. No long explanations or arguments, just silence. I don't know what she's going to do now, but it's no longer my responsibility. And that, my friends, feels like freedom. What I've learned in all of this is that sometimes the hardest thing to do is to set boundaries, but it's also the most necessary. I've spent too much time trying to save people who didn't want saving, and it's time I started focusing on the one person who matters most in all of this. My son. We're doing well, by the way. He's happy, thriving, and we're finally starting to settle into our new life, free from the drama that used to hang over us. I bought us a cozy little house, and I'm setting roots down. I want to give him the kind of stability and peace I never had growing up. And now, without Petunia's chaos looming over us, I feel like we can finally do that. As for my ex-wife, well, she's still on her journey of self-discovery, and I truly wish her the best, but that's her path to walk, not mine. So, here's to new beginnings, setting boundaries, and finally learning that saying no doesn't make you the bad guy. It just means you're putting yourself first, and sometimes, that's exactly what you need.